بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا تجعل الحزن والصعب إذا ما شئت سهلا اللهم آمين. Indeed, we are in the month of Muharram. This is the sacred month. This is from the months of Al-Ashur al-Hurum. And indeed, it is also the first month of the Hijri calendar. We've concluded the last year with a sacred month, Shahr Dhul Hijjah, Shahr al-Hajj. We observed the days of Dhul Hijjah by going either to Hajj or observing the days of Dhul Hijjah in remembering Allah. We also engaged in ta'at and ibadat for the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Arafah. And now we are in the last beautiful gift of the mighty Allah Azza to this ummah for the season of Rahamat that starts from Rajab all the way to the end of Muharram. One cannot help it but to realize how humanity in general and the Muslim ummah in specific is living in neglection and ghafla, rather living in the state of intoxication. People are now living in a state of intoxication as they are observing what's so-called the World Cup. And I don't want anyone to misquote me and think I'm anti-sports or a person who's so extreme in his views. But the way that people are reacting to this event has become too extreme to the point that we have no choice but to talk about it. You would see people going out of their own way to enjoy the entertainment. You would see countries and businesses are going out of their own way to maximize their benefit from this event. Even within the politics, what's so-called the war in the Middle East was influenced partially to the issues of the World Cup, as they want to make sure that they're able to benefit from this in a business manner. And when you look into what is happening globally, you will see there's a lot of suffering. Look into one of the most powerful nations on earth. There are minorities, immigrants, who have made their way into one of the most powerful nations on earth, hoping that they're able to make a better living for themselves and their own children, are now incarcerated in one of the most inhumane environment on earth. There are people dying in the jails of ICE. There are people who are suffering. There's starvation happening. And this is in the most powerful nation on the earth. When we look also to the Muslim Ummah, we will see that even things more intensified when we look into the situation of the people in Gaza. For the past 3 years, and for the past a few months, when what's so-called the end of the fire and the truce that was agreed upon to give a breathe to the people of Gaza, people are still being killed. Raids are still happening. Bombs are still falling. And people are still mourning. People are still in the state of starvation. No food is making its way to Gaza. People are still living in very old, worn out tents. There's nothing left from Gaza to make them able to live their life. This is happening in front of the international community. This is happening with the awareness of the leadership of the world. That's why I call them the coward leaderships of the world who have no morals. Because if they were to have morals, they would be acting upon the principles and the words they say in public that made them make it to their offices or to their positions in public servings. This is what we need to be aware of. We need not to be living in neglection. There's a chapter in the Quran titled by Ibrahim alayhi salam, in which the Mighty says, Alif Lam Ra, كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وويل للكافرين من عذاب أليم. But who are those kafirin, Ya Rabbi, you're talking about? الذين يستحبون الحياة الدنيا على الآخرة ويصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا أولئك في ضلال بعيد. Brothers and sisters, Quran is not only for entertainment. Quran is for reflection. Quran for comprehension. Quran is to change our life. Quran to help us understand what we're living in. If the Muslim Ummah were to read these verses from the Quran, they would not be living in intoxication, not in ghafla. Look into the Muslim world right now. They're in complete denial, complete intoxication, as if there's nothing wrong with the Muslim Ummah. Cheering, partying, shouting, going outside, and engaged into this activity. طيب, what about your brothers and sisters in Gaza? What about your brothers and sisters in Lebanon? What about your brothers and sisters in Myanmar? What about the brothers and sisters in Kashmir? What about the Muslims in Yemen? What about the Muslims in Iraq? What about the Muslims, different parts of the Muslim Ummah? We need to have a break. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal said, the ghafla. الذين يصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا. Those who prevent, those who work hard, يصدون, prevent people from the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they want it to be crooked. They don't want to be in the right people to be in the right path. The leadership of the Muslim Ummah should be awakened and should be straightened by the majority of the people and say, what are you doing to the Muslim Ummah? We need not to be engaged into activities that makes us living in more ghafla and neglection. But rather we need to go back to Allah Azza wa Jal, because the Mighty said, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ قَوْمِ نُوحٍ وَعَادٍ وَثَمُودَ وَالَّذِينَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ جَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُلُهُم بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ فَرَدُّوا أَيْدِيهِمْ فِي أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. Brothers, sisters, it's Quran. It speaks to us. Musa said to his own people, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ, your Lord have ordained on himself, لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ, if you were to be thankful, لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, I shall give you more. Is the Muslim Ummah living in the state of shukr right now? اعملوا آل داود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور. After the destructive war that took place, someone has to do the rebuild. Someone has to pay the bill. Who's paying the bill? It's the Muslim Ummah. That's so pathetic. That's not shukr to Allah Azza wa Jal. You're misusing the trust that Allah Azza wa Jal had given to you. This money should be invested into the infrastructure of the Muslim Ummah across the globe. This money should be rebuilding and creating a Rabbani generation that's able to lead the Ummah. This is what the Muslim Ummah is living in. وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. If you were to disbelieve and live in denial and intoxication, then the Mighty is warning you. My punishment is so severe. أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ نَبَأُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, were you not informed about those who came from before you? قَوْمِ نُوحٍ وَعَادٍ وَثَمُودٍ, the people of Nuh and Ad and Thamud. جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات, their prophets came to them with the clear guidance. فردوا أيديهم في أفواههم, they rejected what they have brought to them. We need not to say, we need to talk to the Western societies about Islam. Well, what about us as Muslims? Are we really investing and understanding and comprehending our deen? Are we applying this in our life? Are we representing what the Quran is saying to us and telling us? Before we do that, let's do that first before we present it to the rest of the world around us. My brothers and sisters, I'm not here to make you feel helpless and powerless. I'm here to remind you about the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Mighty. وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. As Allah Azza wa Jal said to Musa in the same ayat, وَذَكِّرْهُمْ, remind them about the days of Allah. But why are we reminded about the days of Allah Azza wa Jal? So that the depression, so that the helplessness, so the powerlessness will never make its way to the heart of a believer in the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. In the most bleak moment, when Musa and the followers of Bani Israel were surrendered, the sea is in front of them, and a million soldiers behind them. As Ibn al-Qayyim indicated, they did not know what's a million. They said 1,000 soldiers were behind them. And those who had weak iman from Bani Israel, قالوا يا موسى إننا مدركون. Look to the response of the believer, the one whose heart is connected with the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. كلا nay, inna rabbi ma'i sayahdin. My Lord is with me, shall guide me. If the ummah were to say these words nowadays in the difficult times we're going through, we would not be building hopes on the power of those who have the technology. We would not be building hopes on those who are, controlling us. But rather we will be empowering ourselves by connecting with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. If you were to abstain, Allah will bring someone else who is worthy and qualified to take the leadership. كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعِي رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينَ. My Lord is with me and shall guide me. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى أَنْ اضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْبَحْرَ. And then Allah Azza wa Jal said to Musa, after he said, حَسْبِيَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. These are the words that we heard and we continue to hear from the children of Gaza. These are the words we've heard and continue to hear from the mourning mothers who've lost all their family members. These are the words we're hearing from the elders and the uncles and the aunties from Gaza who've lost everything except their trust in the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. The 10th of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, is a message of hope to the Muslim Ummah until the end of life on earth. You as an Ummah is so powerful. You as an Ummah, stemming your power from the power of the mighty. All you need to do is reconnect with Allah. All you need to do is empower yourself by the Quran. All you need to do is take everything else out of your heart and pour the love of Allah and His Prophet in your heart and act upon the verses of the Quran. That's what the 10th of Muharram brings to the Muslim Ummah. And that's what should bring to our hearts. And that's what we need to plant in the hearts and the minds of our children so they will grow up as believers walking on earth with their hearts and mind connecting with the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. May Allah Azza wa Jal, the mighty, help this ummah to wake up from the neglection, from the intoxication that it's living in. And may Allah Azza wa Jal restore peace and tranquility on humanity on the earth. And may the mighty replaces this rotten leadership of the world with a new leadership that can lead with conscientiousness and help the people of the earth to live in better conditions than the conditions we're living in right now. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.